am an alumni of the Junior Achievements. Over and over and over again, you have to have different talks. It's hard to teach it. It's more so of a flow thing. My mission was to try to change something in education, and the only way I can see it was through technology. There are good things happening right now in Lithuania. What do Disney movies do? Like Disney and Pixar movies. The best thing I would say is to, as in business, to see through the bullshit.
Okay, so Mantas, you are the fourth Human IPO in Baltic states.
Yeah, that is correct.
Could you elaborate more about the process, how you became it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm not sure how much should I go into details, but so yeah, it all started when I saw Antanas Bernatonės keynote at Login 2020, I believe so, in that year. And he just started talking about like Human IPO, what is it all about, like how can people invest into other people's time, like as per se in the IPO market with the companies. So regarding people, you just invest in not in companies but in people. So I thought that this is a very unique and interesting way of looking into people's time and to their put in effort and trying to see how can they scale like a business but as a person, and how can their market cap be even higher than before. So I thought, okay, this is a thing I'm very interested in. I gave it some time, and the next thing you know it, I filled up the form. I had several talks with the founders there, and yeah, in December 5th, I believe so. Last year. Yeah, I opened up my IPO, and yeah, it was very awesome. I got many looks into my site. So.
And how it is doing now?
I still have several hours, I believe so, left in to be bought out. But yeah, I believe so that there's around 10 hours already bought. So I'm just waiting for people to redeem it, but they're waiting for my IPO to even grow larger. So we'll see.
What do you need to become a IPO? Yeah, you said you need to fill the form, but could you be more specific around the interviews or around what kind of achievements should you have done to be in a Human IPO?
So yeah, so I'm not quite sure how their process for screening people is right now, because I'm not very that involved at this moment with the IPO.
It is that it is, yeah.
But
that's
yeah, so firstly you have to be acknowledged in somewhere. So meaning you have to have your own niche and to see how can your expertise and your your expertise and your professional experience can help other people or other startups to grow. So my background was more so in sales. So I can, and in marketing and in business management. So those are the main criteria that I can consult other firms or people if they would be interested to buy my time and redeem it and have a chit chat with me. So in the screening process, you have to just fill in the form, also put in all of your social media, say what have you done, what is the differences from you and the other people, and afterwards you get several interview questions, you talk it out, and if everything else goes smoothly, your IPO will be open. So yeah, it's pretty easy, I would say, at that stage. But the hardest part is to know your niche and know where can you be valuable to the other person by selling your time.
So what do you think? Could I be a Human IPO?
Possibly, yeah, of course. Why not? Why not?
Yeah, great quote. Why not?
Why not?
Always use it. Okay, you mentioned that you are part of a debating society. Yeah, or you debate, how it's called?
It's called in Lithuanian jaunimo debatai, so in English it would be youth debates. Yeah.
Okay, youth debates.
So it's a Jugenddebattiere, it's from a German side of debating. So yeah.
Oh, okay. So you're debated in German?
I didn't debate in German, but in the German style of debates. So
okay.
They do contests with the German language.
German speakers,
German speakers, but for me, nicht verstehen. so not that good at it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been
sticking to my English.
I've been to Germany for a month, I think, and that month I learned just 3 words, maybe bratwurst and Weisse beer. That's the only thing you need.
That's all. That's all you need.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so debates give you lots of good skill sets. Yeah?
I'd say so, yeah.
For example, argumentation, negotiation skills, maybe how to do a good conversation, how to be a good listener, also active listening skills.
Yeah.
So maybe you could underline us what kind of skills you got from the debates.
Yeah, so the journey with the debates, I would say, in a broad sense, it gave me, I would say, more confidence of trying to, so more confidence on the stage, better involvement in trying to structure my speech, trying to be as best relatively structured as I can. So that is one thing. So being precise in the speech is the main part of things. Then I would say it gave me better listening skills, obviously, because you have to be very involved with the other speaker and trying to understand what is he really trying to say here, what is his real argument here. So, and the best thing I would say is to, as in business, to see through the bullshit. Like, you know, you can surely see when a person is pulling arguments of his derriere, like, you know.
Okay.
So that is one thing that was acquired through the debate.
So you see that screening bullshitting
Yeah.
was the best skill you got from the debates. One of the best.
It enhanced, I would say.
Oh, okay.
It enhanced my smell for that. Like,
Okay,
you know.
so could you give us more things that, for example, how could you implement the skills that you got from debates into business? For example, negotiation, maybe?
Yeah. So in negotiation parts, possibly, yeah.
Could you give us some tips about that?
About negotiation in a way?
Yeah, in a business.
In business. So there are, it's very interesting. I'm going to do a small segue and turn back to the topic.
course.
So I watched Chris Voss' masterclass on negotiation.
Oh, yeah.
And
FBI a negotiator, yeah,
yeah,
who
the
doesn't
FBI
know.
negotiator.
He
So-
wrote the book Never Split the Difference.
Yeah,
I'm reading
yeah.
it at the moment.
It's,
So
it's very awesome, and
Yeah.
his masterclass gave huge insights into how can you adapt, like, you know, different like from debates, from like FBI screening, from something like that, to trying to focus it on business side of things. So I would say in the listening parts, you have to, if you want to negotiate with a person, you have to know how high or how low will you go. So if you're negotiating a business deal for, say, for an X amount of money, you know that your bottom neck, which you will do the deal, is around like 1/2 of the X% that you're trying to reach. Then you do an 80, 50, and then 30 rule. Like, you know, so firstly you say that, okay, I'm gonna raise the bar for the negotiations to an outrageous amount of money. Then the person will say, obviously no. Then you say, okay, let's talk about it. Then you lower it to, like, I believe 30% less. Then he's thinking that he's winning, like, you know, something. Then you try to lower it more and more, and then you get to your first, like, insight that you knew you were going to make the deal. And the person thinks that he's getting something out of it. In debates, I would say it's pretty much the same. You have to listen to the person's argument, call him out when he's talking like sideways from things that aren't relevant, and trying to bring him back to the deal, to the task at hand, and say, okay, are we going to do this or are we not? Like,
and
you know,
in business?
And in business, it's pretty much the same. For me, talking to, like, with I more so work with the government institution with my EdTech that we're selling the product to. So it's pretty much the same. You just have to give the most information that you can, as in debates. Like, per se, you have to know your statistics. You have to know how much you want to get, and you have to know how to acquire it from the person. So meaning you cannot go lower in money-wise. If, for say, you need for the project like 100K, then you know that you're going to ask for 100K or maybe even more, and lower it down to that amount, for instance. So if, and the negotiation part is usually a gruesome one, because you have to do it over and over and over again. You have to have different talks, different acquisitional parts to it. So when you're talking with venture capital, or you're talking to business angels, for say, if they want to invest in you, and so the negotiation part goes to that amount that you're saying, okay, we know that we have done this and that. So, and we are trying to raise this amount of money, and we're willing to give X amount of percentages of our company to you. But what will you bring to the table? Because it's usually not a one-sided argument, meaning that a startup, yeah, he can, his point of view is to get more money, and from the investor side is to get more, percentages of your company. Mm-hmm. So how to balance this thing, it's just you have to talk about it. You have to know your arguments, know your path, know how high are you going to go, and just try to work around it. So that's the best explanation I can give it to you.
Okay, but business, it's also not also around negotiation, but in startups, pitch is a big thing.
It is.
That. Could you give us one tip how to be better at pitching? Just one tip.
One tip
that maybe made most impact to your life, to your pitching experience, or any other.
I would say not wording your ideas very hard, so trying to be very precise. If for say you're doing a startup as for us, like a personalized math learning platform, you don't have to say that it's an interactive, high achievable platform which will give something. You don't need to word your value proposition or your ideas with many words, like put as much as you can to it, because it's very hard for the listeners and it's very hard to pitch it, So the best advice I would say to be as precise in your arguments and your speech as you can. Not putting extra buzzwords that are not needed, because people in the industry that you're trying to pitch, they're experts in it.
Okay, let's talk then more. If you're pitching, usually when I pitch, I use a lot of comedic content to make the pitch more interesting.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Is it buzzworthy, or is it the precise, or is it on a precise point?
I'd say it's it's always a fine line. You cannot put
too much. Yeah, but if it's on the right dot,
I would say if it helps the flow of your pitching, if it gives some point across and it's comedic in a sense which gives a reflection from your audience, a chuckle or a giggle, which can make them even more interested in what you're trying to say next. Yeah, it's a good way.
But I think that all pitches should implement some kind of comedic things to gain the attention of investors and also of the general public who's listening to your pitch?
Yeah, so for me, I usually try to put somewhat of a quote. For say, it might be my quote that I thought of in the context of the business, or it might be some Martin Luther King quote or something like that. It doesn't really need to be the whole quote, but just snippets of good ideas which can be implemented for your structure when you're trying to pitch. So, flow words, I would say, which helps to intrigue. What other things I like to do while pitching is trying to change the tempo and the timbre of my voice.
Of course, so, and maybe pauses also.
Pauses also, yeah. You have to do it very, you have to know when you have to.
Yeah.
Do it. So it's hard to teach it. It's more so of a flow thing. So when you're trying to pitch, I would say, trying to make the first several minutes slightly faster, then trying to slow it down, then faster again, and you have to balance it as a roller coaster.
There's loads of tricks in the books how to gain the attention. Yeah. I usually use the comedic approach. Yeah. I make some jokes before the really important information, and usually I use very unconventional hooks. I have used in a pitch music or any videos, like funny videos, memes, or any other things that could attract the investors or the general public's attention who is listening to the pitch. Because I believe that I found that it's the best way for me, myself, to make a great pitch.
Yeah, I would say it's very good. Like maybe a similar thing that I do when I pitch also is the thing that happens prior to the pitch. So like the first content that you get, the contact that you get with the person. So if you're in a huge investment round where there's many business angels and you're trying to pitch your idea, you cannot get the chance and the privilege to know each other, the one-on-one experience. But when you're talking with venture capital and there's just you and another person, then the experience and the chit-chat, the small talk which happens prior to you starting to pitch, the get to know each other part is very crucial, I would say, because it gives for the person the sense of feeling of who you are as a person beyond the pitch. And then the talk which happens after the pitch is very crucial as well. So maybe 40% goes into the prior and afterwards of the pitch, and 60% just the pitch. So if you want to scale it for the success part, I would say. So yeah, so comedic sense, changing the tempo, the timbro of your voice, like going high, going low, and so on. So it surely helps.
Yeah, or making a pause.
Yeah, or making a pause, like Obama.
Yeah, but he's a great public speaker.
Yeah,
I think also as a Martin Luther King, one of the best there are. Maybe you have some role models of public speaking.
Yeah, I would say I've listened to many speeches from Martin Luther King.
Oh yeah, the most famous one, you know.
The most famous, I Have a Dream, speech. But
it's something different. I think why we like it that much is because it's so different from the other speeches.
Yeah.
Because the repeating sense, I don't think that a lot of people used it before.
Yeah.
But now, after Martin Luther King, he set a path for people to use the repeating things.
Yeah, the repetition, of the same word. Like I have a dream.
It makes a different speech. It makes an impact.
Yeah, because like what do Disney movies do? Like Disney and Pixar movies, they use pretty much the same tactics. Like when you're firstly watching the movie, you get the soundtrack. They're doing it with the sound, so you get the sense of the feeling of the soundtrack. Then it shifts towards the center of the movie a little bit differently, and when they're trying to get the emotion out of you, the cry or the tear or something, or the joyfulness, they use the same music part from the start of the soundtrack to the end of the movie, because it gives you like the nostalgic feeling. Oh, I remember what happened then, and it just all of the emotions flow from you at the end of the movie. So Martin Luther King, they use this repetition part. They use it in music. He uses it in words, and many politicians do it, and many public speakers do it as well.
There's also one more rule that I've heard of, and I've used it. The rule of three.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting that human psychology likes the word of like 3 words, usually 3 things, just overall the number 3, the repetition of 3. I usually use it in my public speeches. Do you?
I wouldn't say so. You know, when you're talking, when you're speaking, you don't usually think of any tactics. Like, it usually, it's an experience part.
But sometimes you do. If you're in a speech, you would repeat. For example, you would go the planet, Earth, and the world.
Yeah, for context, when you possibly. I don't use it that much.
What kind of tactics do you use? What kind of tips could you give? For example, so we had the repetition as Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
So the rule of 3. What more?
Good question.
We had the tempo. We had the same things as in a pitch, because public speaking and pitching is not that far away.
I would say a story, to tell a story. That is the main thing, because people are
maybe not to tell a story, to describe it by words, just to paint it by words.
Yeah, paint it in words.
That's
a good expression of it. So because we people are story driven. We always talk in stories. We discuss things, and we're doing it right now. So in that sense, so if you can involve people into your story that you're trying to say and trying to make them believe in you. So your ethos, the pathos, and logos that you're trying to combine in your structure when you're doing a speech, or talking and taking into account a story, or maybe a storyline in a way, is good, because it helps the listener to understand you, and it helps him follow your strain of thinking.
Okay. Okay, let's leave this public speaking and pitches behind us.
Yeah.
And let's jump to your business, to BBright.
Okay.
Could you tell us more about it? Could you pitch it in a minute?
Yeah.
Or maybe just in a couple sentences, could you tell us more about it?
So yeah, so there's two sides to it, because BBright is the company, and the product is another thing. It's called Aliceus. So Aliceum, if it would be
Aliceum, yeah, okay.
Yeah. So if I would say I would pitch the business.
Pitch the business. Pitch the business first of all.
So BBright is a company which is trying to revolutionize our site and our thinking of education in Lithuania and globally as well. So we try to develop as much educational technology solutions to the Lithuanian youth, for high schoolers, and try to better their experience in learning. So in the broad sense, it would be what is BBright. So yeah. Developing many EdTech solutions.
So you would replace the correpetitors? Tutors, yeah. So you would replace tutors with your Aliceum, yeah? That's the whole idea?
The Aliceum pitch.
Okay.
So Aliceum, or Aliceus, is a personalized math learning platform which determines the student's level of math, for now because we're just using math for starters, determines the student's level of math and generates a personal learning pathway with interactive videos and hands-on learning content.
Okay.
So we're not trying to say that we will change the structure of tutoring and leave them without jobs. We're not saying that, but we're trying to say that tutors in schools will have a possibility to try to better themselves, obviously, because every teacher in school can become an expert teacher using the platform. So it means that they can generate different paths for the students, do interventions in their learning pathways, give comments, give other tests to them via the platform. And for the students, it's a good experience because we know that students move through their learning experience in different tempos. The classroom one-size-fits-all approach is not that, how do you say, personalized. Because when a teacher has 30 school children in the classroom, how can he give a personal feeling to everyone and to see how do they progress in their curriculum, in their learning? So the system adapts, the system gives a personal pathway for every student, and then the teacher can see their pathways and do interventions in them, give accounts, give tests, and enhance their experience while in school and after school.
So let's go to your BBright, okay? How did the idea came to you to revolutionize the education system?
Yeah, so long story short, I started from another business idea. So that business idea was an English learning center, which was with live tutoring and using a system algorithm, an AI solution, to try to help with the essay writing for students. That idea shifted because of COVID-19. It gave us a huge hit, and we had to change the idea up. So I thought for several months to try how to change it, how to make something more interesting, because when you're trying to involve yourself into a startup, you have to be interested yourself and trying to see if you're mission driven, like, you know. So my mission was to try to change something in education, and the only way I can see it was through technology. So trying to do a symbiosis of education, technology, combining it to, and trying to help students in any way possible. So the idea started shifting. We wanted to create BBright with the intention of creating a platform, which we are doing right now, but we wanted to do it in a broad sense. So chemistry, biology, and other all topics in the students' learning pathway to be involved in the system. But we knew that when push came to show, that it was really hard to do everything, so we started doing one thing. And So from the idea to the startup, everything went from like trying to participate in various hackathons. So just registering for seeing like the first hackathon we went into with a team of 3. So it was me and other 2 co-founders. And yeah, so it was a hackathon with Prisijungusi Lietuva.
Oh,
so
yeah, connected Lithuania.
Connected Lithuania. So so there was their first hackathon, where I met my other co-founder Alexei, who is right now with us, still going strong. So there was the first time we won the Vilnius part of the hackathon, and we went to the international to the nationals, and we won the nationals as well with the idea. Then the other hackathon was Vilnius EdTech Hackathon, where I met my other co-founder, Mykolas. So yeah.
So you met co-founders through hackathons.
Yeah.
So as a good tip for the audience is, if you want to meet new people, share your idea, go to hackathons.
Yeah, that would be a surefire way to try to find like-minded individuals.
And also mentors.
Yeah, and mentors as well. Yeah, that's a good sign. Yeah.
And how do you pick a co-founder?
Good question. So during the early stages of a startup, you know that, like, for say, we're young, yeah. So
of course.
If you want to,
I consider myself young. Do you?
Me too. Like, you know, the years keep on, like, you know, grinding you, but we're still keeping high spirits.
We're still looking beautiful, you know. Just
glam.
As Nausėda, yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful and
tall. Yeah. So if Nausėda is watching, yeah. Probably. So yeah. So choosing co-founders. When we're young, it's hard to get a seasoned professional in the field in the first starts of your company. Later on, in other stages, you can acquire more people. But when talking with co-founders, you just have to see if the vibe matches, if the ideas match, if they are very mission-driven, if they put in the hours day in, day out, night and day, it doesn't matter. And if they help boost the mission and the vision of your company. Okay. So how I chose my co-founders, so Alexei was more on the technical side of things. Nice. I didn't have a technical co-founder, so I knew that we two can see how can we develop the platform and then acquire other people who have more know-how to create it, as we're doing right now. And Mykolas was the co-founder from the educational part of things, because he was studying education in Southampton. He's still doing it. He's in the second year of a student. And I knew that I'll need someone, an insider into education, just trying to see how all of the learning pathways and all of the structures make logical sense. So, so yeah, those were the 2 points that I chose them, and they chose me as well. So and we're still on the right path of going further. I
think that's a great tactic to look at the leaks in your idea. So for example, you didn't have any technical knowledge, so you just search for the leaks in the idea, for leaks in your knowledge, and you try to fill them up with your co-founders.
Yeah, you try to fill in the gaps, like in mathematics.
Yeah, because you're a mathematical startup. You create mathematical Lyceum.
Yeah.
Okay. And what do you think are the biggest challenges of this podcast is UnderStartups, so we're here to promote UnderStartuppers and we talk with them. So what do you think are the biggest challenges for an UnderStartupper? A startup which is not that famous.
A startup which is not that famous.
Yeah, which is not Desanet or Vinted.
Yeah, so the main challenge, you say, yeah?
Main challenges maybe, not the main challenge, but main challenges.
So one of the things I would say possibly would be to just see if it depends on the startup, like, you know.
Of course. So but for you, let's talk about your perspective.
Yeah, if we're talking for say in the prism
EdTech.
of our startup in EdTech, it's usually how can you bring the idea, like for the government institutions, for our sense, like how do you convince municipalities to buy your product for all of the schools? Like there are many stakeholders you have to convince. So this is always I would say a challenge in itself, but it's a fun challenge. Because,
can I stop you for a minute here? Have you talked with any municipalities about that?
Yeah. We already are in talks with 5 different municipalities.
And how is it going?
We already signed a deal with one municipality. We're trying to finalize other deals as well. So everything is going straightforward, I would say. Everything is going well. But
okay, so could you elaborate more? We're on this. Let's stop on this challenge. Talking and negotiating with municipalities and with governmental institutions. So what could you consider here to be the main challenges in this bureaucracy circle?
So it usually depends because
for you, let's talk for you. That's just, let's take it on your story and tell us what were the biggest bureaucracy issues in your startup and in your negotiation with governmental institutions.
So the main challenge is the time frame, because you're never sure when will the deal be signed, or because there's so many stakeholders involved in the municipality's decision making, which is hard to acquire. Like for instance, in our startup, the financial plan that municipalities have to do for the following year is usually done at the end of the November. So most of them already have a planned budget, and it's hard to squeeze into that budget if you're like a new startup. And if you're even charging like a good amount of money for your technological solution. So it's hard to squeeze in there because you have to do many workarounds. For us, it's you have to maybe not talk with the municipalities or try to talk with schools. Then if it's hard to talk with schools because they maybe don't have the budget to get the system, then you have to talk with the parents. Then you have to talk with the students. Then you have to convince the parents and the students that it's worth it. And so they can be your insiders in the school to push the idea for the schools to buy.
What about private schools, private education?
Private education is a different beast, and it's a very tameable one, I would say.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So we are in talks with several private schools as well. I cannot disclose it at the moment.
Of course. Have you tested it on a private school?
We have tested the platform with several hundred students.
Okay.
So, but it's a beta version of the platform, and the main product that we will give to municipalities will be in the next year of education.
And how's the product doing?
It's doing smoothly, meaning that we're all of the ideas that we made into plan, we're initializing them, we're building upon our ideas, doing filming of the lessons, building the curriculum, putting everything into logical structures, using our know-how with other tech people, trying to push the technological platform further and further. So yeah, everything is going accordingly to plan.
And how much did you shift from the original idea of the LDCM?
So is it still going on path? Yeah, so we didn't shift, I would say. We just became more realistic with the time that we have,
of course,
and the finances that we acquire.
Okay, so let's jump more to the financials. What was the hardest part in attracting the pre-seed round?
So yeah, with attracting the pre-seed. So because in the pre-seed part, we didn't had the privilege to talk with many investors.
But was it from an investor or was it from the FFF fund?
No, it wasn't from that fund. It was from just...
For the viewers who doesn't know, FFF is friends, family, and... fools.
And fools, yeah. So, yeah. So I wouldn't say that it's like it's a two-parter to it. So most of the finances for kickstarting, the project for the pre-seed round, I wouldn't initialize it like in the broad sense of our startup. The pre-seed round and the seed rounds, it's just a verbal tactic, like to know at which stage you are. So I would say it was a family type of and friend type of gathering of the money and co-founders and me as well to try to kickstart our project. So the other thing is with our pre-seed round, as we would call it. So it's in that sense. The real money with attracting and talking with venture capital and business angels will be for the round that we will raise. So in my technical terms, I use the pre-seed as like, you know, the term that you used to acquire the money that you could in your local level.
Of course. Okay. So you have written a publication around entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
And you're mentioning there that you should start to develop an entrepreneurial skills in an early age.
Yes.
So could you elaborate more and tell us more, how would you improve the school system around businesses and around entrepreneurship and entrepreneurial skills?
Yeah, obviously. There are good things happening right now in Lithuania. So as I mentioned in the start of our talk, that I am an alumni of the Junior Achievements in Lithuania.
Junior Achievement is getting pretty big in Lithuania. I think it's very popular.
It is in many schools. Like for now, in Saturday.
There will be the National Expo. You're going?
Yeah, the National Expo. I will be a juror.
Oh,
yeah.
so you will meet.
Yeah, we will meet.
Yeah, definitely.
So Junior Achievements is one way that the non-governmental sector is trying to change something in schools,
around businesses,
businesses, around schools, and the other part is in university style. So we participated in Tech Hub, which was Vilnius University Tech Hub with Science, Innovation, and Technology Agency.
MITA.
Yeah, MITA.
Okay.
So we became the top startup of their third cohort with our BBright idea and with Lyceum. And yeah, it helped us tremendously, trying to acquire mentors, the help that we needed, the knowledge, and the team building part. Okay. So, but talking about just the vacuum of schools, what can be changed, what can be implemented. So every school should have an entrepreneurship education program into the national curriculum. So it shouldn't be a non-governmental look into entrepreneurship.
It should be more mandatory.
Yeah, it should be a mandatory thing, I would say, because there are two types of entrepreneurship. There's the necessity and the opportunistic part. Okay. So necessity means in another country, and you know that you have to do something to try to get money and try to change your life.
Of course.
The opportunity side is what I'm doing. I see a struggle in the market, a huge problem, a huge gap, and I try to fill it as much as possible with the startup that I'm doing right now. So for schools and for every child, it's a different need. And the curriculum, which would be developed around those two sides of thinking of entrepreneurship, should be involved into the national curriculum. So it's a surefire way to enhance the productivity and the skill set and the knowledge that students and future experts in fields can acquire.
I couldn't agree more with you.
Yeah.
Maybe you could implement in the national curriculum the junior achievement approach with the business ideas, with the businesses, which are just the model businesses.
Yeah. So what Italy is doing with their C Lab? So talking about the article.
That's the insight from an EdTech expert, EdTech startup.
Yeah. So what is Italy doing in their schools? They're using a C Lab and other C type of approaches to their curriculum in the national level. So for say they gather in this sense they gather high schoolers and also different stages of students from different fields. So one from politics, the other from economics, biochemistry, you name it, they got it. They build up a team from those students or from high schoolers from different classes, as the junior achievements do, and they give them problems like businesses, governmental institutions, just local people, and or the kids or the students themselves can bring forth their proposals of what can be changed in their local level. So, and then they gather these teams, try to tackle that problem, and they get venture capital funds, they get investment for their ideas to try to change something in their local level, which could bring a better experience of life to their surrounding people.
Mantas, do you think you could implement it with your EdTech solution in Lithuania?
I think that there's a good niche for it, because in Lithuania a new EdTech center is being established.
Of course.
Which started, I believe, a launch in September this year. September 3rd, yeah.
Okay.
So an EdTech center which focuses on at the pilot stage for other startups to implement their ideas into schools.
Okay.
So in this sense, if the center moves towards a direction to trying to change the national curriculum in a way to implement more solutions or maybe an entrepreneurship feeling or thinking to the curriculum, then it possibly is a good possibility in the next 2 years maybe to implement it. But it's a hard task because there's many stakeholders you have to convince. So
of course, also governmental institutions
governmental institutions, they move
and bureaucracy. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's. I think that.
I know that that several people tried.
Yeah, and they were stuck in the bureaucracy
and
circles,
they got stuck, and yeah, so nothing came of it. But I think that there is a possibility. Firstly,
I think that we should find the right timing for it.
Yeah, it's timing is very crucial. But I think that what the NGOs are doing right now, they're paving the way into that. Yeah, so they're paving the way and leading, like being the leaders in that sense, to show governmental institutions to see, look, this is a good practice. It's helping students, it's helping people to develop, and we can export good knowledge practices and import good knowledge practices from outside and from inside to other countries. Like, so when you are a person, and you are developing your skills, then your task as a person is to become as good as an expert as you can. So, and then export your knowledge to other countries. So maybe travel there, work there, and come back with that knowledge acquired there back to Lithuania, probably. So this helps bridge the gap between good education and good entrepreneurship thinking. So I believe that in the sense of curriculum here, it is possible.
Great. And Mantas, could you give us some tips or maybe books or audiobooks or podcasts that every aspiring young entrepreneur or person who wants to be an entrepreneur should listen to or should get? What kind of sources should you watch into to be an entrepreneur, to learn?
Yeah, that's
because as we discover it now, we don't have this niche in Lithuania.
Yeah.
So where to learn it? So we have to do it on our own. So maybe you could give us and teach us as an EdTech representative how we could do it.
So the main thing is reading. Yeah. So if
what to read?
What to read? So Thinking Fast and Slow.
Great book.
a very good book. I don't remember the author. I believe Malcolm Gladwell. Possibly.
I'm not the names person. So
yeah,
but it's a great book.
It's a very great book. Then Power Influence and the ability for power influence in people. I believe. So another book. Then other books I would recommend is Ray Dalio Principles.
Oh, the Ray Dalio. If you don't know, Ray Dalio is one of the most famous investors.
Yeah.
He's just as on Warren Buffett level, I think.
I believe so, yeah.
Something around that. And yeah, he wrote a very good book around that. Maybe Jordan B. Peterson also?
Yeah, Jordan B. Peterson. 12, I would say, read 12 Rules for Life. Okay. And it's the antidote to chaos. And the other book is 12 More Rules for Life.
Okay. So 24 now.
So 24 now, yeah. So those books are very good for like self-development. Okay. The book that sort of changed my perspective in business and maybe in life was Robin Sharma, the monk who sold his Ferrari.
Oh,
so this book was very interesting. It just gave me a different perspective into looking into things and not trying to overwork myself. So because when you're trying to develop a startup, you usually go 24/7, like, you know, and there is a possibility of burnout. So trying to find tactics, how to relax, how to structure your time better, how to understand that business is awesome, but life is better. Like, you know, if you cannot continue on and you don't have good health, then your startup will try to fail. So you have, as a person, try to develop yourself as best as possible. So that's a good book to recommend.
And what about podcasts? Maybe you could recommend us also some of them.
Yeah. So
if you listen to them.
I don't usually listen to many podcasts. I listen to audiobooks.
Okay, so let's jump to audiobooks, because we all know that the podcast you should be listening is UnderStartups.
Yeah. This is the main thing I would say.
Okay, and what about audiobooks? Or it would be, I think, the same one.
It's the same with the books. Yeah. So it just depends on the time that you have. So I myself like to listen to audiobooks. Usually two times the speed, or even 3 times the speed. Great. So it helps me to get as much as information in the shortest amount of time, and I stop at different times when I see that there are some things I have to note, like, you know. So yeah, there are many great books I would recommend.
And I think the most important tip here is to read.
Yeah, the most important thing is to
read and try,
as much knowledge as you can. So read, listen, and talk to people. That's another thing.
Of course, that's what I'm doing here.
Yeah,
gaining the knowledge.
But there are different organizations which help people who want to develop their own ideas.
Do you think it is as a human library concept? Something similar to that?
Something similar to that. So I would say with mentoring. Like,
of course, great.
There are mentor programs.
Mentio, something around that. There's.
Yeah,
yeah, me too. I'm not sure, but
I can't recall like at this moment. But there are several of them. Which help out, like, you know, early stage startups, and even people who don't have like particular ideas but want to enhance themselves, like Big Brother, like Baltic Brothers, I believe. So Big Baltic Brother or something like that. It's called. So there's one program. Then the others are with like mentoring programs in Lithuania, which
Ideologue.
Yeah. So just get involved. Try to find a person that you are very interested in. Try to struck a conversation with him and say, can you mentor me? Like, you know, can you help me out? I'm trying to develop this and that, or I'm trying to see how can I better myself in this career path. And the next thing you know, these people are very open-minded, and they can find the time for you. So don't be hesitant. That would be one of the things. Try to talk with as much people as you can in the shortest amount of time as you can. Try to gather information through books, through people, through experiences of your own self, and that can enhance you to be a better person and for your maybe future ventures.
Okay, Mantas. So just the last sentence here.
Yeah.
Best advice that you have ever gotten.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, just the last one to finish.
Yeah.
So, and guys, while Mantas is thinking, I should say and recommend him to connect it with him on LinkedIn maybe, or you could also do it through Human IPO.
Yeah.
By his time, and you could have a maybe more interesting discussion than I did with him personally, one-on-one experience. Yeah. So let's go back to the advice.
Yeah. So to the advice, I wouldn't say that this advice was given to me by a person.
Yeah.
I more so read it. So in one of the speeches, I can't particularly recall, but there was the glory belongs to the man in the arena. So the person who is filled with mud and so on and so forth, which tries to fight beyond, like, you know, his capabilities. And it doesn't matter if you succeed or fail, but because you were in the arena, because you were striving with your ideas, with your experiences, and try to do as much as you can, then you are worthy. Like, you know, then you are a full person, because you weren't with those timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat.
Okay.
So I would say it like that. So don't give up. That would be the best experience. And if the chance for you gives for you to give up, then try to ground yourself and know that you are doing something which is from your heart, like what you're trying to truly achieve.
Okay, Mantas. Thank you.
Thank you so much.